So I've made a little progress since last week, and let me see, how do I do this? Do, do. So there's my last time I showed it, and the front wheels were flopping around, and I said I needed to set up the steering so it works. So you can see now the wheels don't flop around, and see it still goes up and down like this. And here, I'll pull it off now so you can see what's going on. You can see there's that's the two brackets to hold the thing on that it pivots on. And let's see, what am I doing here? I gotta go back to this camera. So when I pull it off, this is the bottom side, and here's the giant RC servo on it, and here's the servo. Here's a plate screwed onto it. There's enough slop in the servo. I don't know if you can see this. Well, it's working really well today now, so I guess that's good. That I try to move this back and forth. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of slop in the servo. That's the final gear in here that moves back and forth. And then it just simply on the ends here, on here's that block that it pivots on this bolt right there. So it's got that bolt there that the thing turns back and forth on. And then I bolted these so I bolted these plates onto that block. And then another one that comes out to the side here to give me, because you have to draw a line through this pivot point here, through the back of your axle back here, and this point right here has to fall on that line. So I had to move this in so I could do that. And I don't think it's quite right where it's supposed to be, but I got tired of screwing around with it and just moved on. So, and if we look at it from this angle, so you can see here's where it pivots. You can see the servo sticking up above everything. Then down below, here's my two connecting rods that run the thing. And then from the top view, you can see the RC servo is just nestled down in here. And one of the problems I had, if you look right in here, this is where I have to put the bolt through the front to hold it, and then I have to get a nut in there to hold the thing. Well, it turns out, where's my other servo here? I had it bolted on, and it's got these four holes that are symmetrical, and it turns out the length between this end and this hole and this hole and this end is actually longer. And somewhere along the line, I decided I'd swap it like this to make the servo arm work better. And when I did, now up here, I lost enough room that my nut doesn't want to fit. So I think I'm gonna have to take these holes and drill new holes like down here. No, I'd have to go this way. I'd have to go this way, drill holes up this way, like a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, just so I can slide the thing down. And I got room up here for the nut to fit. And if I do that, then I'll probably have to remake this plate here that it's just screwed onto this thing, and then it's got holes drilled. And I tried to get that so those are straight across in the straightforward position. So I'll probably have to make, if I move the servo up this way to make room for the nut to fit there, then I'll have to remake the plate of either a longer plate, or I can probably just re-drill. To experiment, I just re-drill this plate, just drill the center hole up a 1/2 inch, and then I can still get these two mounting holes, the one on this side, the one on this side, and the one down here. I think I got room to hold all that. So I just need to sit down and do that, and then it should be close enough. And I haven't actually fired it up when I got to this point to verify. But when I just running it by hand, it looked like I could get like plus or minus 45 degrees of steering out of it, which should be more than adequate for what I'm trying to do. So that's where I'm at with it at the moment. I got the thing bolted on there, and I don't know if there's any other views to see here. So you can kind of see the way the plates are bolted onto those plastic blocks that it steers with. And then you can see where the connecting rods then go from the two side brackets to the center plate. The center plate, as this thing turns, if I force it hard enough, it doesn't want to turn, but you can see as that starts to move to one side, then the wheels start to turn. So hopefully, as I say, when I get done, that should work and have what I need at that point. So I guess that's all I have to show at the moment. So unless you got some questions, I guess I'm done.
I don't have any questions. It looks like a lot of good progress. I mean, it looks very professional the way you've got it laid out. Have you put power to that servo?
I put power enough just to verify that I could center it, and it was moving slower than I expected when I was driving it back and forth. And it was just some random battery that was laying around, so it could be I didn't have enough voltage on it. But it should. This is basically the same setup that's on my mini tractor. The bigger this one here that I don't have the background turned on right now, but it's the same, basically the same servo and doing it the same way. It should actually turn faster because the other one had the control arms on that one. It just had a single control arm, and it was right off one of the holes on this thing. So the diameter is like out about an inch or 3/4 of an inch from the center, and now I'm way out here. So I've got it. It's like what, two to at least twice the length of the arm, which means the steering is going to turn probably twice as fast as it did before. And it's just a matter of experimenting and see if that's going to work, and if not, then I can tear it apart and do something else. So, but I'm thinking the other problem is the more that I do that, so I make that arm longer. That for one thing, I wanted to get the amount of travel. I wanted to get out of the sinusoidal position. Say if you got something round, and I don't really want to pick it up again because it's heavy, but I will. See, the problem was on the other one, I had like say a bolt right here. I had a bolt through right here, and then one control arm that went out to the to one of the sides here, and in the center it was centered like that. And then if I turn it all the way this way, so I could turn say 90 degrees that way, or I could turn it 90 degrees this way, and right at 90 degrees, then I had my two wheels were at the hard stops. Now the problem is by doing that, so if you plot out the position of that as it goes around, the position of that is like a sine wave. So this is the top of the sine wave, and the one on this side is the bottom of the sine wave, and that's where the sine wave is not. The sine wave comes up like that and curves over. So at the top here, it's not linear up here at the top, but anywhere along this, most of the path coming down like this is in the linear part. So I wanted to increase the length of that arm, so I keep it in the linear part of that sine wave that gets plotted out. And by doing that, the arm doesn't have to turn as far now. So I started with 300 degrees on the RC servo, and the other one went from 300 degrees down to 180 degrees. And this one's going to be less than 180 degrees. It's going to be like 100 or probably about 100 degrees of travel. Each time I do that, I'm losing resolution by doing that. But then again, I'm not a believer that you need really tight, high precision steering for these things to work. So I'm going to go with that and see how it works out, and hopefully everything will work.
And the gauge of metal, where the steering module connects to the base, what's the thickness of that metal?
Where the servo is actually bolted to those two pieces of angle, those are like 1/8 inch thick aluminum, and most of the rest of the stuff is the 16th inch thick. And it's it could be, it's not going to be strong enough, but I've just taken what pieces I had handy and bolted it together. So if it bends something or breaks something, then I'll have to put on new parts, so I can go to thicker metal to do that.
I doubt that it will. I mean, you're not going to be pushing 100 pounds. I wouldn't think that it's I guess if you got it up fast enough and banged into something, you might bend that, but I doubt it.
The other thing is I purposely didn't put any hard stops at the end of this so it can go to whatever, as far as that arm wants to push it. Um, and I think it's going to run out of a room on the servo. The fact that it's a rotary going to linear, I think it's just going to run out of room. So hopefully I won't smash anything because of that. And it's just going to be a matter of, trying it and see what works out on that.
I'm gonna guess you're gonna have it's almost gonna be like a zero turn. It'll be pretty darn close.
Well, we'll see.
Let's see, on my side. So I drafted a map with the YAML file of my backyard. I've driven around and captured a 300 megabyte ROS bag file. Was trying to get it to display in RViz, but I can't yet get it to display in RViz. The PNG file isn't displaying, the tractor image isn't moving, and all of that's probably triggered by the errors in the robot model that's showing up. I also rebuilt my 12-volt battery pack using lithium ion modules and added a BMS to it. For obvious reasons, it's not really safe the way that I was doing it before. And I put potentiometers on the tractor so I could dynamically adjust the PID. I'm driving around in the yard. It was still vacillating a little bit, but I wanted to get a ROS bag file so I could actually see some of the data. And then I've moved my programs that are going to run on the TTGO into the Catkin workspace so I can back those up into the same GitHub repository. So sort of got everything in one place. As I was trying to clean up my file structure and where I was storing things, I just sort of captured a list of, I guess you'll call them milestones or areas of focus as I've been going through this. And I just included that in this progress tracker that's also in the Catkin workspace. I mean, there's a lot of hardware things, there's software things, there's tuning things, and I'm over here in the tuning space, I would say, but I haven't really got all the software RViz specifically lined up the way that I wanted. So this is just a screen print of the backyard PNG file as it's displayed in RViz when I have the GPS all connected. And so I was trying to create a launch file to run RViz off the bag file. So that's where I'm at the moment. A picture of the setup at the moment is the top side of the board. Here's the laptop, the USB hub, IMU. Here's the potentiometers to muck around with the PID. The TTGO board, the main microcontroller, sits here. This is the GPS and obviously the GPS antenna. Kill switch. That's a Bluetooth module that's actually connected to the battery BMS, so I can track the battery currents, each individual cell state of charge, and that's pretty interesting. This is the underside of the board at the moment. The Citron motor controller relay to control the kill switch and the power to the transmission servo. That metal thing is sitting on the lithium ion battery separated with a couple of millimeters of some sort of plastic. What do you call that? HDP plastic? I've forgotten. Let's see what else to show. That's just a little bit of a close up for that BMS. Need a little bit more wire control. That's the current state of the radio control. So in RViz, oh, I'll be darned. I wonder what made that show up. I had ROS bag running earlier and I was just echoing out the sorry. Oh, it is still running. See if the map stays there when I start the ROS bag again.
You could just turn your robot model off and turn on your TF so you can see where things are. And if you turn on TF, then it'll show you where your robot is. You may have to add it.
Is that going to be under axes, RViz axes, or is it?
I'd say do by topic and see if it shows up there.
Yeah, see, that was the error I was getting, is it was complaining there wasn't a TF.
Go and go back to display type and see if you can find TF under that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's saying there's no transform. But the bag file is playing, and so you see this cost map moving around. That's the only indication that it's moving.
If you zoom in on that white square and say, show your, was it local cost map? And there's local cost map. Well, actually, since you don't have any sensors, it's not showing you the, I don't know if that's a hedge or whatever that is there. It's not showing you, it's not going to show you any, what do you call it? The inflation around that, because you don't have any sensors showing you that that's there. Looks like you just drove right through it though, whatever's going on there. Because you're at the center of that white square as the thing's driving around. So maybe if you do, let's see, global cost map. I can't remember what that inflation layer is called, if that's just part of the global cost map or local cost map, or if there's a separate thing you have to turn on to see that. Well, turn on your map over there on the left, turn on the checkbox for map and see what that, if that does anything different. I thought maybe that might show you the inflation layers, but I don't see anything. But it does look like you need to go back and figure out why that transform is not working there.
So yeah, it looks like it's offset on the, no, it's a good couple of meters needs to be shifted north, or I'm sorry, south. The map needs to come south.
Well, if you look over there on the left on your picture, see that grid right there? That is where it thinks your world is, and then the center of that is what it thinks is 0, 0. Center of that grid. So you probably want that grid to slide up to wherever you want your 0, 0 reference in your world that you're trying to create. You probably want those two to match. So as you do that, then that'll probably slide the picture down and maybe be where you want it to be.
Earlier, that picture wasn't showing. I'm still a little bit fuzzy while I'm not getting
The map picture wasn't showing.
Yes, this map background wasn't showing. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the little bit of progress that that I've made.
So you're monitoring the batteries. Are you saving that to your bag file, or do you just simply look at it on the screen to see what it's doing, or what are you doing with that?
I haven't created a ROS topic for that yet. There's an app that I put on my phone that lets you monitor it. So that'd be trying to find it on my phone as we're sitting here.
I'm just thinking if you put that into your bag file, then you could, from the time you start the engine and go drive around, then you can come back, look at it later and see, what is the battery voltage doing while you drive around? Is it charging up or discharging or staying at a constant level, or whatever it's doing. So you notice when it stopped, your vehicle just jumped back to the center of that grid there. So see your white local cost map is now centered on that grid.
Yeah, for some reason the GPS status must have gone to something other than 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, on mine, I commented that out so it doesn't jump back to 0. I can't remember what I did to it, but because that's what was happening on mine too. I'd be driving around, and looking at the bag file, and also it would jump back to a 0 point and just sit there. And I told it to not do that anymore. And I don't remember what the implications were, but yeah, I do remember mine would do that occasionally too for whatever reason. And I just basically I told it to ignore that and go ahead and use the data. You might have to do something different on the data so your driver doesn't die. The Python will complain, and that node will die if it doesn't see, if it sees NaN values coming in or something. See, I don't remember if he had to check for those or whatever, but just simply I didn't reset the position back to 0 then is what I had done. But
Was that in the GPS odom.py file?
I think so. I think that's where I was playing with that. And that was something quick that Matt did, because the Python program would die if it saw the wrong kind of values it wasn't expecting. That's that thing where it said invalid tuple or something. When you first start up, you're getting that. I think I think if you don't set this to 0, you don't trap for it and set it to 0. I think it gives you those kind of errors. And either the Python program would die completely or would give you these errors. I don't remember what it was, but so I just simply commented that out and let it go anyway. And I think what it does, it stops updating, because mine I think if I wasn't moving. No, I don't remember now. I don't remember now what I did. It's just that, yeah, I saw the same kind of thing and I did something to fix it, and I don't recall what it was.
Was trying to find pictures of the app that I took so you could see a little bit about what that's looking like. Just give me a second here. I'll pull those up. Zoom share. So this is what the mobile phone app looks like. It's pretty interesting how much they've put in the thing, but creating a ROS message out of any of this that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But you can see the state of charge. This was before I drained it a little bit, because I don't want the lawn tractor to get over like 14.4 volts. So that's the max that I set it at. But it'll show when the engine's running, the charge that's coming in and the discharge that's going out, and in the individual cells. There are 4 cells, and they're going to be off a little bit, but that's what one of the functions of the BMS is, to balance those out. Also gives the temperature, so there's a temperature sensor on there, which is pretty interesting. And then it'll show the max discharge that it's seen, which I'm, want to keep an eye on that, because it's designed for a certain amperage, and when it starts up, obviously it's drawing 100 plus amps. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem. It's rated for 150 and says it'll take 600 instantaneous discharge and 120 or 150 continuous. So I think I'm within reason for a $60 or $70 BMS. And so now the only benefit, well, we'll see how many seasons it lasts. Whether lead acid is better versus a sophisticated lithium ion battery pack with a BMS.
So is your vehicle outside it? Well, when you took this picture, is this live, or is this just a picture of something you had? I was just curious, that temperature that it shows there, it says 62 degrees. Was that the temperature in your garage? Is the temperature outside, or did the battery just run warmer than the outside temperature? Or
It was the temperature in the garage.
So if you park the thing outside and it's cold, will that drop down to whatever the outside temperature is, or do your batteries run warmer than whatever the ambient temperature is?
But so far, it appears to just pretty much stick to the ambient temperature, because other than starting it, I'm really not putting it under much stress.
That could be as you charge it, they'll warm up too. I'm not sure. I don't play with those kind of batteries, so I don't know what they're going to do. Do you have anything on your vehicle right now that'll give you a temperature? Sometimes some of your gadgets you use just have built-in temperature sensors. Maybe your TTO GO board might have a built-in temperature. It might, if you look far enough, you might be able to read temperature right out of that. That way you could compare. One would show you the ambient temperature, and this would be showing you the temperature of your batteries.
Yeah, if I haven't figured out the TTGO board's temperature sensor, and so no, I don't have anything on the tractor. I do have a temperature sensor in my radio control, but that's just going to tell me what the ambient temperature is. This was taken at 10:27 today, so that would show a little bit of charging. Oh, I think might have been when I finished. Yeah, so I'll make that a little bit bigger. So what this is telling me is, I mean, it's back in the garage and warming up a little bit, but
Where are those temperature sensors? Is that just on that PC board, or is there something where you've got it taped to the batteries?
it's taped to well, one is mounted inside the BMS, and so the internal is mounted inside the BMS somewhere, and the external is taped to the outside of the battery.
So maybe that one that says internal, that'll probably give you ambient temperature anyway, I guess. So maybe you don't have to look any further than that.
But just an interesting side note is this, I guess, what do you call it? The straightr on the tractor looks like it's producing about 14.3 volts, and as these get close to being full, the number of amps that it's drawing is reducing. So this is after being outside, driving for 20 minutes or so. And so it started at like, I don't know, 1.3 volt, 1.3 amps, 1.4 amps, something like that. Because I left my phone in the garage and it disconnected. And so this is just where it picked back up. So it's just interesting data to have. Yeah, those are other dates. So I guess my problem statement is I need to get this. I'm not sharing anymore, am I? Need to get that back up here a couple of more meters where I thought I had configured it to be, because I tried to drive down through here and it's obviously offset a couple of meters. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to, well, I go back to my origin statements and see. Fire the tractor up, put it where I think it is, where I know it is. And then make sure the map is adjusted. I don't think I changed anything, but who knows?
I think this map and the that little grid that's on the map looks like where it was last time that we looked at it last week. So I don't think anything's changed. I think it's just simply not where you want it to be.
So might be able to use the map, or maybe not, but maybe just end up being a general reference instead of a close to reality.
Or we're doing path planning. You want the map because that's showing you where your obstacles are and it can plan around those. So. Although when you ran it last week, you said you picked somewhere and it was drawing a path that was running right along those objects. So it was using the map, but the map may not match the world. That's your next problem, I guess.
Yeah, well said. That's all I got at the moment.
I think that's all I have too.
You can turn off recording, I guess.